Alright, come with me and take a break from the election from hell over who's going to be number 46. And let's revisit our 16th president, the ultimate badass, Abraham Lincoln, vampire hunter. Now, as silly as this outwardly sounds, the book is a very fun read. It very carefully and understandably weaves in vampirism into the events surrounding the Civil War, much in the way, kind of like a conspiracy theory. The movie, on the other hand, while it is entertaining, it takes way too many shortcuts. It cuts out a lot of the good stuff from the book, and in its place puts in, kind of shop-worn action horror movie cliches, and we'll get to that very soon. Because I'm going to save the best for last and save what's in the book only for last. We'll start with what is in the movie only. First off, the very beginning, when the Lincoln family speaks out against slavery and Thomas Lincoln loses his job and his boss, Jack Barnes, makes a dark comment about there being other ways to collect a debt. Next thing that is only in the movie is the cliche token villainous Vadoma, who was responsible for the death of Abe Lincoln's only child, and she looks like she was excised from one of the Van Helsing movies and just dropped in on Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and then just kind of ad-libbed from there. Silver as a secret weapon was not in the book. It was only in the movie. There are some things about the movie where the vampires kind of follow the same principles as in True Blood. Silver. What else? Garlic only being irritating, holy water not really doing any damage. Although vampires in the book and in the movie don't really suffer sun damage. They just don't like the sun, and they tend to rely on sunglasses. Anyway, back to movie only. The horse-hopping action fighting sequence is only in the movie, as is the flaming train track action sequence, as is Mary Todd Lincoln's turn to get her badass on and shoot Vadoma in the head with a silver toy. The winning of the Civil War by shooting Confederate vampires with the silver dinnerware. And the last thing that's only in the movie is the very end, when just before we cut to Henry Sturgis alone in present day, he's watching Abraham, drive away to the theater with Mary. And that is movie only. Now, let's get to what is in both the book and the movie. Starts off with the vampire, Jack Barnes, killing Mrs. Lincoln, and Abraham swearing revenge on vampires, and thus leading to his alliance with Henry Sturgis to learn about vampires and how to fight them. His job working in the general store with Joshua Speed in exchange for room and board while he studied law. And then he met Mary Todd and married her out from under that boring dork and political competitor Stephen Douglas. And then the historical accuracies are obviously going to be in both the book and the movie. His political career, presidency, and the Civil War being fought against vampires, and of course freeing the slaves. And there's something interesting about that. That is book only, and now it's time for the best part, book only. Starting with the beginning. In the beginning, when during Abraham Lincoln's childhood, he remembers his father Thomas just working his ass off all day, well into the night with nothing to show for it due to a bad investment. And when things go from bad to worse, and his mother gets sick, after she's, of course, teaching him how to read and inspiring his interest in learning, which is the big difference between Abraham and his father, is that, Thomas Lincoln remains illiterate and uneducated, whereas Abraham pursues his passion for education. Anyway, so his mother, who he's super close to, falls ill and dies really quickly, and he learns on later that it was because she was attacked by a vampire to pay off Thomas Lincoln's creditor. Later on, Abraham finds out the truth about the existence of vampires when he sees his father in the grips of one with his fangs out, and learns, that's why he works his ass off for nothing. Anyway, after this, he gains a stepfamily, more out of necessity than love. He continues his passion for reading at his stepmother's, encouragement. And as he grows up, he uses, wood chopping work and rail splitting work to get fit and strong and ripped enough to fight vampires. And then after he forms the alliance with Henry Sturgis, he travels south with him to New Orleans, and that's where he learns about slavery. He sees several escaped slaves on the run and sees that it's vampires who they are running from, because vampires use them basically for food as well as free work. He also meets a retired military man and horror writer, Edgar Allan Poe, who is also a vampire. Then, later on, a lot of what is, the following sequences are shared by the movie. But back to just the book. After the election, Abraham and Mary Todd have 3 sons. One dies from, the kind of illness that most of us just get over after a week or so as a child. Another one grows up, and during his 20s, same thing, gets sick with something that we've already eradicated with vaccines, and he passes away. Only one of them makes it well into old age. There are hints that Jefferson Davis, president of the Confederacy, is a vampire. There is actual talk that John Wilkes Booth, his assassin, was a vampire. And the book ends with, after the assassination, and the rest of history after the assassination, right up to the civil rights movement being spoke of, kind of, recollected more quickly. It ends with Henry Sturgis and Abraham Lincoln standing in front of Lincoln Monument during the civil rights movement. And Abraham Lincoln has been converted into a vampire by Henry Sturgis because he finds him too fascinating to be allowed to stay dead. And there is also past tense discussion of World War II, the Nazi occupation being another vampire uprising, and that is how it caps off, as the two of them just ongoing. And that's just what makes it so much fun to read. I thought it would be ridiculous, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I hope you did too. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like. See you next time.